Hi, welcome to the devlog. I'm Chris. Welcome to the Outer Islands. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what I've been working on today inside of the Outer Islands and how it changes and affects the game. So let's dive straight in. So, for anyone who's tried the demo, you may be aware that we have a camera system. Okay, so we can pick up our camera, we can, zoom in on objects, do all that kind of thing, okay, that you do with the camera. But one of the problems that I've got as a developer is that I need to keep the controls as simple as possible. Okay, so when this comes across to being on Steam Deck or a PlayStation 5 controller or an Xbox controller, any kind of standard controller, I need to ensure that this thing's going to work, without having to resort back to using the keyboard and mouse, or without having to use some sort of weird overlay or anything else like that. Now the camera always had a bit of an issue in that in order to function properly we have this gallery, okay, and the idea was that you look at your images inside of the gallery and that was about it. They didn't really make a lot of cohesive sense aside from that. But this is a detective investigation game. The whole point of the camera is really to drive the narrative. So in order to do that, what I've done is I've reintroduced an idea that I originally had, which was to have the investigation board. So if I go into here, every area that we go to inside of the Outer Islands, there'll be an area that looks a little bit like this, okay, and this will be our investigation board. When we get there, we kind of set up a little place where we can do, sit down, do some investigations from. It's not interactive, it's just kind of a focal place where we can go to. And over here we have our actual investigation board itself, and over here just a table with a few props on, just to remind us that this is the area that the detective, Detective Shepherd, is working from. Now, if I take out my camera at this point and I try and take a photograph of something, you'll notice that it doesn't really care about the photograph. The photograph's not worth keeping, okay, because none of this is evidence. So I can do that again over here, maybe this giant cog, maybe this is interesting. So I'll take my camera out again, take a photograph of it, but the photograph's not really worth keeping. Okay, and this is just the game's way of letting you know that there's no point taking a load of photographs that you don't necessarily need. This isn't a screenshot system, this is just a system that's here for you to take photographs of clues. So, later on in the game, when you first start anyway, you'll come across a simple clue here that says, if I read the document, someone's taken the last of the sugar again. Alan's furious. We only have 3 days before we head to the mainland, but without sugar for the tea. Anyway, Jim's locked the room. I've popped the spare key in the plant pot near the door. Put it back once you've used it. So, where's Jim left the key? Well, if you were paying attention near the start of the video, you may have noticed that there is a plant pot just outside the door here. Okay, and if we look inside the plant pot, there is a key. Now, we can just grab this key, okay, that's fine. But what we can also do is, because this is an interesting point, there may be a kind of more to surmise from this, or maybe just a little bit of information. We can just take a photograph of it now. And if it's something that's actually worth taking a photograph of, so I'll just zoom in a little bit on the key. Now it takes a photograph, and you may notice that clue, the plant pot, has been added to my documents. So if I go into my documents now, here is the plant pot. The key had been left in the plant pot for some reason. An old-fashioned idea, however, we're on an island 100 miles off the mainland. It's unlikely many people will be checking it. So now we've got a little bit of something, a little bit of interaction. We've taken a photograph of it and we've given ourselves some thoughts. Plus, over here on the ideas board, we can now see the photograph's been added to it. Okay, so an important photograph has been added to this. Now, this doesn't mean we can go and take photographs over and over again of the plant pot. This is another thing that needs to be, thought about here, because otherwise people will take repeated photographs. And whilst it does try and take a photograph, the detective decides not to keep it. Okay, so up here on the board, the photograph, just the one time of the plant pot, nothing else. So again, this means that if you see something and you think you might get some extra information off it, then when you take the photograph, you're going to get an additional clue, clue the plant pot, and the detective board is going to have the information on, and hopefully this information might give you additional clues on how to solve some of the puzzles. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you found that interesting. I can do a more prolonged and technical talk about how the logic for the camera system works if anyone's interested, so please feel free to drop by in the community over at Steam, say hello and ask any questions. And remember, you know, you're always welcome there. Do you have any questions? If you'd like to ask, or tell us rather, what's your favourite kind of puzzle? Please do, I'm curious. Do you like looking for things? Do you like solving, you know, strange and obtuse puzzles? Do you like having to do research in your puzzles? Do you like metagaming? Let us know. It's the only way really that I can improve the game and make it something that you're really going to enjoy. And in the meantime, please don't forget, pop by, click like, and of course, please wishlist the game. And thanks very much for watching. Bye bye for now.